Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Casters Lounge. With me tonight, we've got Grev, we've got Philzy, we've got Hyperactive, two debutantes actually on the show for this little diversion into a couple topics, including a look at the second match week, a look at just a few interesting stuff as well, just to fill out the show. Even though we did have quite a few entertaining matches that we were witnessing all game week. But speaking of maybe not witnessing greatness, but certainly the man in the background that you heard, at least the man that you heard was probably Hyperactive, who's to my left. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. My leg is hurting already.
How does it feel to get on your first podcast, or at least the first Casters Lounge?
Delightful, actually. It's the first ever podcast I've ever done, so it's going to be interesting how it's going to be. Seems that not only can you just hear me talk openly, but to see my stupid hand gestures as well. Oh God, I'm nitpicking myself.
Always a great sign.
It's going to be a long hour for you there, but
it's also probably going to be a long hour for a certain Philzy up in the top right. How are you? I think this is also your first little diversion into podcasts, so you're feeling well?
Yeah. I've been involved plenty of times in the chat, in the Twitch chat, in the last couple of episodes. Showed quite a lot of
promise,
disappointment in you that you didn't get me on in the first couple of episodes. But...
different words.
Went a complete different direction.
And then we have finally someone who isn't just a rookie, a man who's been too long in quarantine, who's starting to build up a bit of a stubble at this point, which I've already commented on, but had to do it live in front of people as well. How are you, Grev?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I mean, this part isn't going great, but the rest is going fine.
I think
quarantine hits everyone differently. You know, maybe next time I'm on podcast, I'm completely bold.
You just look experienced, Grev. Please don't shave your head. As a message to everyone out there, stop shaving your heads, please. Doesn't look good. Thank you.
It looks horrible. Half the people who do it, especially when they have long hair, it's just unrecognizable. I hate it. We take a YouTuber, Mini Lad. He's done it. He looks ridiculous now.
A player in Regnant's done it as well. Very disappointed in my player there, but we move past it because they're going 3-0, aren't they, boys? That's after they were given a forfeit win against Project Diversio, which was set to be played on Friday. It was set to be a big game, and then ended up not being a disappointment, being something that's even worse than just disappointment, because it didn't happen. Me and Dan-chan both were left with the biggest of and the bluest of balls, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually hyping the game up a little bit because I was mostly looking forward to your guys' interactions rather than the actual game itself.
The battle of the biases.
So, the battle of the biases, yeah, exactly. For those who don't know, Dan-chan is involved with the previously ex-Luxor, now Project Diversio.
Allegedly sexually
roster.
Yes.
Allegedly, might just secretly be the entire CS:GO manager for that organization. Who knows?
It's not allegedly. He lets everyone know it openly. He posts pictures as well.
He does.
If he has an Instagram, we should put it in the chat. Well.
We'll save that for another podcast.
Still hasn't been on, Dan-chan, by the way. I feel like we've just been talking shit on him at every podcast, so that's a lot of things to come back on.
That would be the cast lounge.
Actually, oh my god, he was on last week. How did
I was going to say, he was on last week.
He was so forgettable. He was so forgettable last week. I just, even with a rant towards the end, eh?
Of course, why not?
Right. So, do we want to talk about some actual games? I think I've already brushed past one of them, which was supposed to be a game that we could probably talk about for quite a while, I'd imagine. Regnant versus Project Diversio, but since it didn't happen, it just isn't anything to talk about other than the sort of way that Project Diversio put a little small ESL Benelux Cup ahead of ESN, but that's beside the point.
It's kind of kind of it makes us feel like we're really up high, but we're honestly we're not
It's a
that
bit
quite. But it's still not cool. It's not cool.
bit disrespectful, isn't it?
Yeah,
think.
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Listen to me, Project Diversio, you guys are fucking asshole.
That's well, I mean, understandable. I was gonna say, I did want to actually ask you guys, who do you reckon? Well, not Stromis, because I know who he's gonna what to say anyway. But I was gonna ask who you guys thought would have won that game anyway. Because I've now,
Regnant.
unfortunately, yeah, wow, yeah, I was
Wow.
gonna say I've now unfortunately tipped Regnant to go free, but looking back on it, if they did actually end up playing, I'm not sure if I would have been in a position to
Yeah.
No,
do that.
I agree with you. Like I'd say got a freebie because they did, and they would probably not have fared as well if they actually decided to play the game. So,
Yeah.
I would have say Universio probably would have taken that one.
I
Which is
feel,
unfortunate.
yeah,
'cause we
obviously
could
I
see
have
it.
to carry on the meme of Regnant win every game. But like, it would have been a tough game. Obviously, Equinox was a tough game in the first round. Really had to dig in for that one. Did Regnant? So yeah, I think we would have seen the exact same when they came up against Project Diversio. That means that they're now 2-0 in Group 2. Another team that are 2-0 now are Geekcase Esports, who played against Time to Shine. I think Hyperactive casted that game. You want to talk about that?
It was a kind of a very one-sided game. A huge delay to start off with. We had multiple server issues because you've got a Swedish team and then a Portuguese team, two opposite ends of Europe. And we did about 7 server changes just to try and satisfy Geekcase. Once we'd finally got the game going on Train, it was a fairly entertaining game with one very memorable moment of absolutely astonishing wallbang. I will, because I've gone through the clips, I will put it up on my Twitter if you want to see that clip. But through T-spawn, that area into connector. But it wasn't through your standard wall, it's through the side bit. But either way, I felt Geekcase was it was more of a hard push, if that makes sense. But just hard push round corners, less utility use, a lot of boosting, and this kind of strat definitely took Time to Shine off their game. And come the dying moment. So this is a dilemma we talked about before we went live. Is because I said the ping was horrible. One of their players dropped mid game, and because of the amount of times they'd already done tactical timeouts, Geek Squad had ran out of time to call the game pause. Time to Shine didn't even bother pausing it for them. They played with a bot for 3 rounds, I think it was. And
do we think that's like a reasonable choice? Since I think Grev talked about this before the show, and in general, sort of that it is a competitive tournament where you gotta gain that edge, especially when you went behind like they did by so much. I think they lost what was it, 13-2 in the first half of Train on T side for Geekcase.
It was horrible. It was basically Time to Shine was getting absolutely destroyed. And yes, I can see the aspect. Oh, they've got a player missing. Let's use this as a motive to just edge ourselves closer, make the scoreboard either look good or just make it so we have an opportunity to actually bring this to either overtime or a win. But it's more the morals. I see it. I find it so disrespectful. You see other matches, the teams will respect each other and will call that timeout for them just to get them back in the game. And as it possibly was because of the multiple server changes that frustrated, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's your problem. We're just going to play. So there's a lot weighing up either sides to say, well, is this a good or bad thing? Should they be punished for it or should they not? Because look at top end matches, they can pause whenever, no matter what. It's like it's a definite conversation that can be discussed for a while.
Yeah, Rev, do you want to join in on the conversation? You look like you were.
Yeah, a little bit because just as you mentioned, this is a competitive tournament. There is a prize pool on the line. I mean, if this was like a friendly scrim, like I am fairly certain that they would pause it, like, okay, let's just figure this out, go with this immediately. But like you said, there's been a lot of delays, a lot of already timeouts. They might have just gotten bored, like they finally got something going, even though they had a player missing, and then it's just timeout after timeout after timeout after timeout. At that
The
point, because you don't have technical timeouts in these best of ones and stuff, such like as you do in other tournaments,
Well, we do
your
have
patience runs dry.
It's just that people aren't really aware of it too much, but we do have a pause thing within ESN that people just don't always use too much.
There is, I believe, exclamation mark pause for, I believe, a 1 minute pause. You can do, which you can do 4 times, I believe, and you can also, like the normal Counter Strike, call a vote for another pause, which is something along the lines of a minute as well, maybe more.
And I think the pauses are longer. I think they're 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I
something like
think.
the
They are
pauses go
long.
for a while. Like in total, that's 9 minutes of pauses, which you could probably fit like 4 rounds of gameplay into.
Mm.
And at that point, I can understand Time to Shine's like frustration about not participating in a tournament and not getting to play into a tournament because of the pause and all that stuff.
Right. That wasn't even the only action we saw on Wednesday evening, actually. Or the only talking point, I suppose. We also saw a couple more interesting games. B Pro XDC was a bit of a banger. I think it was you and me, wasn't it, Grev, that casted that one. You want to talk about it for just a bit?
The map was Vertigo, a map I'm fairly fond of at this point, especially because of said game.
I think everyone
It
is at this
was
point.
how
I don't like Vertigo. What are you on about?
I feel like
I'll
you're
get
the
into
only
that
one
maybe
at
a
this
bit
point.
later.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss it later on.
Yeah, but it was just so incredible to see like a fine balance between amazing team play and individual playing from both sides of everyone. Like everyone was participating, everyone was fragging in, flashing each other. No one was like the bottom bitch, so to say. Everyone was at top of their game, and it was an incredible game. I mean, you can look back onto it. There's a lot of highlights from said game, and both teams proving that they are extreme contenders to finishing this group off very, very strongly. And currently, it is B Pro who came out on top, and they most likely, in my opinion, going to 3-0 the entire group.
And that was sort of expected coming into the group stage. I felt not just in that they won the previous season, but just like even with the group draw, I think they could have had a worse group. Let's just say if B Pro were in Group 2, then I wouldn't even be like 100% sure that they'd go 3-0, but in that they were in Group 1, which I'm now starting to think more and more is the weaker group. You know, I think it was a bit easier, especially considering they haven't played like bad teams. Obviously, XTC was one of the top seeded teams in this group, but like in the first round, got a warm up against Slick, lost a couple rounds initially. We're in sort of behind for quite a while actually, but you know, came back quite quickly, and just have come back straight to the form we know them for, I suppose. That wasn't even it for Wednesday. We've had such an explosive amount of games. Actually, Equinox versus Wonder. Did anybody catch that game?
Yeah, I did. I was casting it actually.
Yeah. You want anyone for the taking on that one?
I guess I can start with it. Wonder being the clear underdogs, the Wonder also being previously Team Scoundrels. They got picked up pretty recently, so that's good for them. But they're, like I said, complete underdogs. They're not expected to move very far into this. They're currently 0-2 in their group. But they're still managing to take it to overtime almost every single match.
Yes, both times.
Twice.
Yeah. They've had 2 games, one against Vibes in it, which they also managed to take against overtime on Nuke, and then this time on which I believe is like Inferno Mirage or something. Inferno, yeah, they managed to take it to overtime, despite being underdog, despite having a massive round deficit at the beginning of the second half. But when they get to overtime, they fall out immediately. They have gotten 1 round in overtime.
I mean, yeah, for both.
For both of them combined. So they managed to take it that far, but I'm uncertain if it's the opposing team kind of relaxing a little bit too much and really not taking time to prepare as in depth as they maybe should be doing,
Mm.
or if it's them having an amazing comeback story but just not quite enough.
Yeah, maybe they're just destined to lose. We
You'd
have.
say-
Unfortunate.
I mean, we have had a couple of those teams in the past. Like, just mean, we'll see. I
You
think that,
say that, but there was some quite absolutely like star-worthy moments in that game.
Hmm.
The only, unfortunately, the ones I could think of are Equinox's moments, not Team Wonder's.
yeah.
So our big boy
Surprising.
Ben, shout out to him actually. He actually got a clean ace on. There's 2 aces in that matches. 2 wall bangs, one absolutely ridiculous flick with a deagle on B sites from Story. I literally go to bed every day picturing that. You know, Cloud9's is it Hux?
First, it makes the Cloud9 reference.
Of course, the Cloud9
Well,
comes in
yeah, I
there
was gonna
somewhere.
say.
Let's read the vibes. Read the vibes. It was on Dust 2. P250 in hand goes through long doors, not long doors, mid doors. Enemy in the corner and literally flicks right to him. Walks past him, complete flick off screen. It was that same flick he put Story performed the Deagle. Oh,
Yeah.
except
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say it's absolutely gorgeous. And then there's, as I said, the other moments of bangs through the wall on Banana. That game was full of just action. And then, of course, as we mentioned, going to overtime was like the cherry on top. But it was a basic cat and mouse. There was Equinox would pull away, and then I don't know why I'm crossing arms. Equinox would pull away, and then Wonder would just kind of wander back, literally, and get back to an even score, and then it would just happen the same rhythm again. So back and forth essentially. So I want to see definitely. I want to see Wanda at least get one game. Seems
Yeah, and with the draw they've got, which we aren't going to reveal just yet, we'll do that a bit later actually. Hint, hint. Little spoiler alert there for you. For the next round, where we have a couple bangers actually happening. Yeah, I think we'll find out if Wonder really are doomed to fail, or if they actually had something to say about this season. Because if they don't win against that team, then I don't think they should be deserving of a win at all. But also, I feel like we didn't learn a lot about Equinox this game. I'm not sure if you guys share my sentiment, but like they played Inferno again. We know they're quite capable on that. They had to dig in again, so we saw their antics there. We saw the same individual skill and the flashes of brilliance, and just like roughly the same players showing up. I just don't feel like we saw anything new from them, you know. But
not really. Like
as in from their Regnant game, that is, where it was, you know, even though they lost it, it sort of felt quite similar in my books.
Of course, you'd bring that up.
Of course, yeah.
By the way, Regnant won, just so you know.
Yeah.
Regnant
Shut
always
up.
win.
Yeah. No, yeah. Velzy, you can talk about it.
Yeah,
if you
so I
want
was
to.
just gonna mention that obviously regarding Equinox, as you mentioned, that they watching that game, I felt like wasn't sure. You know, one thing was for certain is that, as you mentioned, they weren't bringing anything realistically new that we haven't seen up to this point to the table. What I did want to specifically mention about Wanda, Team Wanda, is, although they did fairly well. Grev mentioned them being the underdogs. I really want to know whether that's just specifically a team issue in terms of are they maybe just like not playing well enough as a team, or is it literally just the individuals carrying them up to that specific level? Because we've seen plenty of times in previous seasons where we've had you know just outstanding like individuals playing on some like let's say mediocre teams, and then they will literally carry these teams to the W against opposition that pretty much should have had it, you know, should have had that W in the bag. Um, So I really want to know whether like you guys think that it's more of like, yeah, as I said, literally just that team issue, or if it's literally just the individuals, pretty much just a group of individuals, or is it a team effort?
I'd say with Equinox, it's definitely an individual because the only two names that really stood out for me was Mind and Story from Equinox, and that says a lot because if I don't remember names much, but if those two are standing out, it feels like them two are carrying a lot. Mind being a very lurkerish role, and then Story is the AWPer. Could be wrong on Mind, may I point out, but they were showing up. But the others, the other three, no idea their names, nor could I. They didn't stand out. So I'm gonna have to agree with you, Fleazy, in saying that I feel those two are the ones carrying this team.
You muted your microphone, Strom.
Again, I've done that twice now.
Again.
I was gonna say.
Okay. Well, we have just like two more games that I thought were like really interesting throughout the week that I think we definitely should be talking about. Phantom's Ignite versus Famous 5 should be one of them. I think I said just as the game ended in very hyperbolic terms, which I think are quite accurate, that this game will go down in ESL, nice one.
We wish.
ESN folklore, because it was just an out of body experience. Me and Ant casted that one, I think, and it was something else. We expected like a pretty easy dismantling of Phantom's Ignite by Famous 5. They came in somewhat stumbling against Endymion in the first round, where they had to warm up just like BPro did in a couple rounds, but after seeing what BPro managed to do against XDC, where they warmed sort of the team spirit as a whole, like as I guess so. Then I thought Famous 5 were gonna do the exact same thing. Did not happen, not at all. They looked so bleak. I think Phantom's Ignite had an insane streak around at the start as well. Where at the half it was something ridiculous. It was Vertigo, by the way. Of course, it was.
The
Um,
the halftime score was 11-4 for Phantoms.
Exactly, but it wasn't like that. Didn't even represent how mad it was at the start. I think Phantom's Ignite got maybe 3 out of or like 2 out of the last 4 or 5 rounds or something. Like before that, it was quite just a full on domination, and then Phantom's Ignite started to slow up, and we saw Famous 5 coming back into the game, and then we never saw an end to the game because it kept on going, and then it went to overtime, and then it went to double overtime, and then went to triple overtime, and then
Final scoreline 25-23, wasn't it?
final scoreline 25-23, and we had so many insane rounds, so many misplays, so many things that just occurred during the game. We had it all because we had suicides, we had like massive team rotation calls that worked out in danger, if nothing else, and it was just spectacular to be a part of it. But it's not a game that I'd actually recommend watching in post, because it was legit, like at times it felt like the grindiest of grinds in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on
I
the
did
game?
want to.
I'm not sure if you guys watched it or not, but
Yeah. So I did actually watch the game, and it's his second game now. Phantoms Ignite. Obviously, they're 2-0 at the moment, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep.
And it's the second game that they, I feel like, struggle to close it out.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
really, really convincingly.
Mm.
The thing that you could say is probably working in their favor is just the fact that they've obviously had that streak of rounds, and they effectively grew a set of balls, and then just really went after Famous 5, who were definitely, as you mentioned, probably seen as the favorites by
Yeah.
many of people. At this point, I genuinely don't know how to feel about them. I feel like they are a little bit of something like a typical like a team, something like G2 usually does pretty much in majority of tournaments. It's just, unless you're a massive Phantoms Ignite fan, so unless you're a massive G2 fan, they're just there. and then they actually end up racking up wins just more and more, but they're also close that
Hmm.
you're just not 100% sure. Like, is this a team that you know, like, are we looking at the winner here, pretty much, like winner of the whole season? And then I feel like I asked this beforehand as well, but I did want to ask you guys as well. Do you think Phantoms Ignite has, well, I mean, definitely have a chance, but do you think it's a realistic
No,
chance of winning this season?
no,
The season.
no.
Yeah,
I thought
Not,
that's a very tall order. I
not in a
mean,
million years. Honestly, I keep feeling like I watched I think you guys casted it, Grevin, Pilsey, the Dragonborn game. They had a
yeah,
lot of flaws in that one. They made a roster change since then. I think they brought out Giochi
jockey.
for
Yeah,
another
Jockey went
Swede,
out.
meaning
Yep.
that they have 4 Swedes and Tischler now.
One Hungarian. Yep.
Yeah,
The Hungarian.
the Hungarian, in a way. But yeah, I still feel like they have way too many flaws to do anything past getting into maybe playoffs, maybe like quarters. But no, I like if this is a top 4 team, then I don't know what you're looking at, honestly, because even in like group 1, you'd have to argue to say that this team is the top one of the top 4, even despite their 2 wins, meaning that they are by definition one of the top 4, because XDC are 5th, and or if yeah shared 5th, I guess, with the 1-1 record. We have like Scape in there, who I actually rate quite a bit. A couple others as well, who I honestly think could very much beat Phantoms Ignite if they were to play them. But you know, a win is a win, maybe. Or are we doubting Phantoms Ignite?
I
Just
mean,
I'm gonna
overall?
start. I'm gonna doubt them actually, because
Yeah.
in the upcoming match now that that we know is gonna happen, but not just yet. I'm not gonna pronounce it just yet. That's gonna be a tough one. They're not. That's gonna be feisty, and if they beat that, I am very surprised. First of all, but then they actually have a chance of I believe qualifying for semifinal.
I mean, yeah, if they beat B Pro, then sure. But like the
Thanks for the
way
spoilers.
if they beat Famous Five in the way that I don't know, a game we're gonna talk about next, the last game we're really gonna go in depth on, being Revenge, beating or no, not Revenge beating, but
Not beating.
losing
okay.
quite hard to Budapest 5. Budapest 5 winning against Revenge, essentially, formerly Vibes in it. If Phantoms Ignite beat Famous 5 in that way, then I wouldn't be talking about them this way. But the way they stumbled through that, the way they stumbled through the other games they played in Dragonborn, I guess. I've seen them in a couple other things as well. Redacted. Yeah, I don't see them making it too far, honestly, at all.
I mean, you did mention that, but I mean, if you just look at like just individually, some of the players that do play on it, obviously, because you did mention, Jockey got taken out, and then me and Grev, when we casted, I think he was one of like the standout players actually on that
Yep.
roster.
100%, yeah.
But then definitely the other player you can mention is someone like Tischler, who I believe he's played on BP5. Is it
Yep.
roster?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
in the past,
BP5
yeah,
youngsters and that Grim
yeah,
Ravens
exactly.
roster, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like they genuinely do have a really solid lineup. Although they have been like, as you said, stumbling. That's the only reason why I feel like I'm not even sure how to like approach this.
Hmm.
Although what I feel like also people are sort of forgetting is the 2 games they did get are very difficult.
Yep.
Like, I mean, Dragonborn technically definitely nowhere near as dominant as they used to be. I mean, like Orgues, I'm pretty sure weren't they in the semi-finals in season 3, Dragonborn? I think so.
No, not quite. But I
Is
think
it?
they got to like the
Is it?
quarters or something, and then
Might
lost
have
to
been
Tinks.
quarters, yeah.
Tinks in like
Yeah,
the
that,
final map.
yeah. But I remember that game to be very close. Either way, like that, I still like from what I've seen on that, like in that game, it was quite a lot of mistakes. I feel like sorry, the first game for Phantoms
Hmm.
Ignite against Dragonborn, I'm referring to.
Yep.
They have played like there were, as I said, yeah, there were plenty of mistakes to be had, but I feel like there was some still very decent CS going on, like, and I feel like that was sort of like the main blueprint of like layout of how to play Vertigo.
Yep.
That I feel like we've seen later on in all the other pretty much stages of the competition up to this point.
No, also that Dragonborn, not the same roster as the one that played in season 4.
Yeah, obviously.
No, yeah, I get your point, but yeah, it's just to clarify. Right, final game we're gonna go in depth on. Then I teased it a bit. Budapest 5 versus Revenge, the spectacular game that is shaken.
I mean,
so
on one
much.
side, yeah, spectacular for one team.
Oh, there's
Spectacular to watch.
spectacularly horrible for another to play in. I imagine, because the way that Budapest 5 knocked down Revenge in any way they wanted, in literally they could just play it in whatever style, whatever they did, they eventually just ended up winning anyway, outside of 2 fluke rounds, which I think you'll share my sentiment, Pilsy. Those rounds, they don't count for much, honestly, because they did not stack up to the level of like the sort of creative nature that Vibes or Revenge tried, but ultimately just failed every time. We go fast, bang. We go ramp, okay, let's try something kooky over here. Nope, not that. Alright, let's try and outpace, just go slow, trade them out. Nope, not gonna happen. Budapest 5 just won in every way. They just look like a complete team right now to me.
Definitely not the
with
start that
75s.
Revenge were looking for, signing up
Yeah.
with the Vibes in it. But yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I didn't expect a blowout of that caliber. I mean, I doubt anyone really did. I mean, it was quite the highlight game in everyone's mind. I mean, these 2 teams are almost the highest seeded of the entire group, and
Yeah.
that happened. So that's
And we also
unfortunate.
didn't see Budapest 5 in the first round. When they 16-2'd Orbital Gaming, who we've also not seen in any round. So like we had no I don't think with this new roster that they picked up after the last one, sort of disbanded in a weird way. I don't think we had any sort of metric to, outside of like an ESEA score or like watching one ESEA game, where they didn't even make playoffs, I don't think, of ESEA main. We had nothing to base our opinion off. Yeah, Orbital forfeited the second game, yeah, so we had nothing to count on, and then like they just had electric team chemistry and just the individual play and just everything, I think. And I think I said it as well on Twitter. I think they're gonna win the season.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, after that performance, it's safe to say that they've been, like, in terms of just pure running over teams, yeah, definitely. But then again, like, if I could see BP5 playing against like a top roster,
Yeah.
which we will be able to see in the next matchup.
Teaser again.
No spoilers. Like, I really, really want to see, like, if they were able to still pretty much dominate just as much as they did in this game against Revenge. Because in this game, anything they tried, whether it was an eco, they won it. Pistols, won it. Like, the amount of there was so many 1-leagues in this game that I pretty much just stopped counting at some point. Because, I mean, the whole team, at one point, the bottom fraggers were pretty much out-fragging the top fraggers on the side of Revenge.
Not to mention all the 2vx's, right? Where they just like had 2 players left. Even when Revenge were able to break them down on the initial defense, as long as Budapest had like 2 players alive, whatever the situation, could be a 2v5, 2v4, 2v3, 2v2. We just saw time and time again, they always came through by just like having, they just knew where they had each other, essentially, I think. Does the fact that maybe we've seen Revenge in a pretty bad light so far this season, in the way that they lost a 15-6 lead against Wonder, had to go into an overtime, does that, as Philsy sort of alluded to, in that they aren't maybe a top team right now, even though we predicted them to be in in coming to the season, or is that going to play a factor? Like, are Budapest 5 still not still yet to prove themselves in a way, Grev?
I mean, Budapest 5 have. I mean, they've made quite a long way already. I mean, whatever they have to prove now is just to qualify to playoffs, potentially even get like imagine going to the playoffs only dropping like 6 maps. That'll be insane. Um, but definitely for the side of like Revenge GG, you have a lot to prove right now because you almost lost a confirmed game against Wonder when they still were a scoundrel.
Yeah.
It took like some seriously sharpening up to do because I gotta admit, Wonder they were not playing that well when they were playing even the rounds they were winning.
Yeah. No, yeah, that was so much just. I think we said this last time as well. It was simply just Revenge like not turning on what they should be with like just running in every time.
I feel like I commented on it like they were just like taking it easy, just relaxing at this point. And that's not something you should do. As proven twice now against Wonder, they are able to claw back to at least overtime, but they'll have to work on that part. So definitely something to prove on their end. But I think Budapest 5 are. I mean, what else is there to say? They got everything they need, to be honest.
Yeah, all the fundamentals and all the little quirks as well. Okay. I think that's all the games, honestly, that we have to talk about. I think we've kept the chat waiting long enough and teased them for long enough. I think we're just gonna reveal the third round matchups, and then we can talk about, for example, I think we're gonna quickly talk about the Lockdown Cup, and then possibly a bit of sort of personal stuff, get to know us type things. But we're gonna move into the little screen now of the round 3. As you can see, it's going to be a bit of a slideshow there for a bit as we start to talk about the things that we're going to be seeing next week, and already you might be seeing a couple bangers in there. Hyperactive, what's the best game?
I can see from Group 1, B Pro Gaming versus Phantom Ignite. I know you guys are talking about it already, but I know B Pro's reputation, and then of course you saying today about Phantom Ignite, and you've touched on it. You kind of let it slip here and there. I think that's the biggest one in Group 1, and then Group 2 again. It's the one at the top. I think Budapest 5 versus Genetics would possibly be interesting. But as I said, I'm kind of a bit for Wonder. I want the underdog to win this, but I want Wonder to beat Skillmatics. I don't know. I haven't seen much of Skillmatics in their gameplay. I'll have to do a bit of research, but that's the game I'd like to.
It wasn't great, mate.
I'll definitely do a bit of research on that because, as I said, I think Wonder deserve a win because they're constantly putting teams to overtime, and it's their overtime performance letting them down. So
yeah, I just feel like if they're gonna get a win from anywhere, then surely it's gonna be from Skillmatics, right?
Yeah.
Any other games? I think we have a couple more that are like even higher tier in terms of teams playing each other. Any like 2-0 games that are interesting? That are taking your interest, maybe, Rev?
2-0?
Yeah.
2-0.
So like maybe I'm trying to edge towards the Budapest 5 Genetics. The game of the century.
If you're looking at that, yeah, of course. I mean, Budapest 5 looking solid as can be. Genetics also quite decent their way entire through. They managed to get 2-0 until now, and this is going to be the decider, best of 3 to see if they can push the limit and derail a fiery, hot, steaming Hungarian train. So we'll just wait and see on how that turns out. I do believe I'm actually extremely confident that Budapest 5 will take that. Take that one. I'm not going to give a score line. I'm gonna go around the gate immediately and say that they will probably take that.
Go on, give us a score line.
Okay, so I don't know. We don't even know the map vetoes yet. So I mean,
say Inferno.
Just give us.
There you go.
Inferno, Budapest. They so solid. They get CT side. They get 14. No, 10 to 5, and then they clean it out. Yeah, because of the knife rounds as well. I'm going so far in. I'm hacked into the matrix. Just you wait.
Any map,
But
Hyperactive, what's the score in that? Do you think, as Grevling said earlier, dropping 6 rounds all group stage is a possibility? Considering they lost 2 rounds and 2 rounds.
To be honest, with CS, anything's possible. You cannot sit here and go, it's going to be that way. Like, for all else we know, we could see an absolute overconfidence and just see them falter and go into overtime, playing that bit of overtime.
Overtime would
But-
be lovely in that game, honestly. I just want to see that
Mm.
game forever and ever.
Yeah,
Pilsy, do you
but
want to
if-
see a loop of loops?
Sorry, come again.
Do you want to see a loops of a Genetics versus Budapest 5? Just never stop watching.
I mean, depends how many overtimes there will be, because I think I might just give up by the third one. But
What's going to be the
best
score
of
then?
3 overtimes. All of them go
Yeah.
to 3.
no, yeah,
third
I mean,
overtime.
it's if you just base in like the score lines off of like their placements and things like ESEA leagues and whatnot, then obviously BP5 is gonna just take it, and then they've been looking really, really comfortable in the games that they've played. But then again, that being said, I mean, if you look at BP5's, who was their first game against that they beat? 16-2.
Orbital.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like we don't really have a lot to go off of.
Yeah,
If you beat
exactly.
like, I mean, if you want to beat the Budapest 5, then say you're expected to beat some like an eclectic Unity. I'm gonna just throw in a personal butt of the joke at myself, but you're expected to be beating these teams, and then like if you're looking at Revenge, then are we them struggling against, was it Team Wonder, I believe? Like that,
Yeah.
it's not really it's not a huge like challenge for them. And again, we have seen like I know that Genetics have beaten better teams than those two. It just simply most recently. Even outside the VSN. So I think that would be a really good game. But then again, I feel like there's plenty of good games in general. I feel like one to really highlight as well is probably from the much lower down, sort of like the mid table. If you have a look at the Grab 2, I think CA Esports against Project Aversio, I feel like that could be a semi decent game. Although I would, in the end, just end up giving it to Project Aversio.
If they
Um,
show up.
If they show up, yeah, that's hopefully they don't, they don't forfeit another one. But yeah, all in all, I was gonna say that plenty of solid matchups, and yeah, the Group 1 game between BPRO and Phantoms Ignite, that's looking extra spicy.
I think
So-
we're all going to be watching that one. No matter of a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the missus in the corner. I'm going to be like, Miss, just leave me alone. I'm going to be watching this.
I'm sort of looking at these matchups. Sorry, I was just gonna say
No, it's
that I'm
fine.
kind of happy I picked the Regnant to go free now, because I feel
Haha.
like they've
Joining the hype
been
train.
no, I just feel like they've been out of the draw that they could have got. I feel like they've been given the easiest one.
Yeah. No, yeah, I
and
was
that's
ju-
nothing disrespectful to against Vector Gaming. I'm just saying that just from the one game that I've seen them play on Nuke, they've been they looked shaky.
Yeah.
Not as dominant as they probably should have been, but all in all,
Yeah,
they did grab the W in the end as
I
well.
was actually also going to talk about the Vector Regnant game, because obviously I'm going to watch that.
Oh, of course.
But it is really. I think a couple of us have done these picks that we've been alluding to all the time, very private for now. But like, I think it was only me and Philzy who picked Regnant to go 3-0. And that was sort of based on, for me, that they didn't play, because the 4 teams that were 2-0 in Group 2 were Genetics, Budapest 5, Vector, and Regnant. And if Regnant got Genetics, then I think we could have seen a banger of a matchup, but I definitely wouldn't have been like confident that they were going to win. If they got Budapest 5, I do not think they would have won. But since they've got Vector, I think they'll win. Maybe not like super easily, but I mean, kind of easily, to be honest. And
So
yeah, sorry, go on.
yeah, sorry. I was just gonna well, I mean, you can carry on about Regnant, but there's just a question regarding Wasps,
Oh yeah,
Wasps Gaming, and what we think of them.
yeah. We can do so. I think we've seen a couple people just try and get validation, try and ask about their team, from the mighty gods of us. I think Lucifer was ahead in the
Also
queue in
known
that
as
sense.
us. So
Exactly. If you want to ask questions, then you're free to do so on Twitch. I won't make any more fun of you than I already have. I think Lucifer was ahead in queue though. Lucifer have played obviously 2 games, lost 16-7 if I remember correctly to Genetics, which is no shame in doing so, and then
Yeah.
beat Brutal Democracy on Sunday 16-12. I think that was an overpass. Any thoughts about Lucifer or their chances of progressing?
I haven't seen them play. But they are up against Team Shazoo, which once again I also haven't seen play. So my argument is just really out there right now. Because Shazoo, they want a forfeit win. And that's the only win they've got at the moment.
Yeah.
So Lucifer has potential to go to a 2-1 and then maybe go out in the 3-1. But a 2-1 is very possible right now.
You said,
Um,
sorry, I was gonna say you said
What?
Lucifer went into overtime in one of the matches. I was
No.
gonna contest and say
It was
went-
overpass, not overtime.
Oh, overpass. Sorry, my apologies. I thought you went overtime. I'll stay out.
But then also Shazoo losing to Project Diversio,
Hmm.
which
No shame.
quite badly as well.
Oh
but
yeah, that is a shame.
16-7.
I mean,
I mean,
didn't Shazoo get a forfeit win as well again in the?
yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
only win they have.
Yeah.
Is the forfeit
yeah.
win.
So yeah, make of that what you will. Filthy Wasps then. If we move along in the queue, what are we thinking of Wasps? Who I think are personally a bit underrated, honestly, because they beat
Yeah.
Vanex 16-5, which maybe doesn't say that much, and then beat Escape, which has a whole lot more, beating them
Yeah.
16-7. I think. Are we?
16-7, yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna go 3-0, are they? But what can they do?
That's the thing. It's like you said yourself. There's such an underrated, like that. There's such an underrated team. It's. I feel like just not a lot of people can really. Sorry, not a lot of teams that they've come up against up to this point were able to figure out the way they've been playing up to this point. Like usually for me, it's either look you're 2-0 and you got lucky, because you got good draws, or you're 2-0 because you're deserving to be there. With this one, I feel like it's either a mix of both, or I feel like Wasps are pretty much the underdog and could be a dark horse in the tournament. Because like I've seen them play decent, like really. I mean, you can tell there's definitely structure in there. But like apart from that, my opinion is going to be pretty much the same as Grev's on the other matter. It's going to be a little bit flawed.
Well, all right. We'll move on then. Talk about someone else being the Lockdown Cup, or the Lockdown event, or whatever you want to call it. We currently are having the sign-ups open for a little side tournament, I guess you could call it. It's essentially a more cheap, more sort of innovative idea for a tournament, I'd say, in that we essentially, I think you sign up for like, forget the actual entry fee. I think it's a bit different depending on if you're playing in this season or not.
£15, I
Yeah,
believe, for the
£15,
entire
okay.
team to sign up.
And then it's 350 for the prize pool. You essentially play in these lockdown cups, as we're calling them, where you essentially get lockdown points, depending on the place you finish. And I think we have like 6 cups or so, that are all like after one another in a row, essentially on the days, and then the playoffs where the top points accumulated, which goes to the teams, not players, get to go into playoffs to battle for those 350. I think we already have quite a few teams actually signed up, but you can read more about it if you want to on the website. Any thoughts about anything involved in it, including the teams or the concept, or just like anything essentially.
It's kind of like a mini major, essentially. If you think about it, you got all these small ones, like the small tournaments, like your Blast Pros and all that, and we're kind of, I feel it's kind of taking this bigger picture, Blast Pro, Pro League, Flashpoint, all those like little cups, and then you go for that little final. But I think it's going to be interesting because I think it will allow some of the smaller teams from like say different tournament orgs to kind of see ESN as possibly a place they can compete in now. A little, an easier place to fight.
Going back to the roots, essentially.
Yeah, essentially going back to more the amateur instead of because I always believe ESN's like semi-pro level. Would you agree? Almost there.
We don't use the A word.
We don't use the A word around
Do
here.
not use the A word.
Yeah, so
Just
it's
kidding.
very much a semi-pro kind of organization. So it's kind of, as I said, it's bringing back the grassroots. It's bringing some fresh faces in, which then can allow teams to see some good talent and hopefully as a bit of scouting grounds as well.
Yeah.
We have a couple of like interesting teams already entering. I mean, you have Famous Five where we
Yes.
signed up and are pretty much already good to go. Dragonborn also said they're in. Project Diversio. But also like a lot of teams that I've never heard of, and like kind of like really excited to see if they
Yeah.
if they show up in a good way. Like I'm not gonna make any guesses, but I'm just gonna say like a couple of names out there. If you know any of them, like Obsession Aras Gaming,
What?
Mysteria. I know that's really a unique name, but
Yeah.
I can't really make anything out of it. I'm just gonna call them OAG. So
that sounds sweet, actually.
Mm.
like Way to
Should be a
Game,
marketing manager.
Endymion, which I believe is also in ESN
They're in.
currently.
Mm.
So yeah,
Like,
it's
1-1,
sort of
I believe.
I think it's a pretty good mix of like teams that maybe are slightly below. Obviously, I don't really know a couple of these teams that aren't or haven't played in ESN. Buskill have played. I think they sort of wanted to sign up for the season, just couldn't quite manage it. They're obviously the former Socially roster, essentially. Which I think again is pretty fun way for like, oh, you missed out this season. Too much demand. So you get to play in a bit of a cup thing to try and test your skills anyway.
A little bit of extra time because we all have it.
Yeah.
And extra money.
Not for us.
Not for us.
No. Well, not.
Have we
There
ever
will
thought?
come a point.
People ask, have you ever thought of having a casters union? Yes, but we get
Yes.
fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm chill here.
Twitch.tv/ESN_G. Of course. Shout out.
No union is good enough for us.
No union's good enough for us. That's the motto that the owners are trying to get into our heads.
But either way, I want to say that out of tournament, like
No, yeah,
tournament
it's just
organizers, this is probably the nicest
all
like,
still
group of people there. Like, I've been in like I don't want to
redacted.
I've been in other ones, and they've not been as the quality and the friendliness isn't always there. The punctualness from this kind of like organization is just
That's an awkward one.
yeah.
You guys are great. Please pay us. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, please pay us.
I was referring to the punctualness because I was late, probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, the majority of the time, like it's only been 2 cases I've seen instead of loads.
Yeah. Dependable people, eh? Speaking of
Yeah.
dependable, we've actually finally got someone to tweet out the round 3. So if you didn't catch the little schedule we put up in a bit ago, or you just like want to see it where you don't have to see just like a pretty short sort of slideshow, then you can go on the Twitter of @ESN_GG, as I can hear somebody's already doing with their key typing. And you can click in there to find those matches while we've been talking about them. All right, one final thing then. I think we were. I think this was a sort of Hyperactive's idea to fill out the show, which sort of wasn't needed. Now, in retrospect, we did talk on for quite a while about certain aspects, which is always good. But to give
it
us
was all because Stromus didn't expect any of us to do our homework or talk about
Exactly,
games.
exactly.
Yeah,
Mm,
like come
yeah.
on, such low standards.
Well, yeah, it's just that two people, new people, didn't know what to expect. Pleasantly surprised.
Next time,
This
Stromus
is
isn't
not-
hosting.
I mean, according to chat, where Matt's just said Strom you're fired, probably not.
I call shotgun.
I call no, it probably won't. But okay. Right, we're gonna get to know the most interesting people in the channel, planets even. Not just channel.
sure?
We're very hyperbolic over here.
Mm.
We're gonna do the age-old game of truth, two truths.
You're on a tear here, mate. You're doing great. Come on, Strom.
He's just trying to get the
Two what
hosting
now?
gig, isn't he? Two truths.
You're,
Two truths.
you're on the ropes, Stromus.
Two truths and a tale. Alternatively, two truths and a lie. Where essentially we all
Yeah.
tell three stories, one of which is made up, and then the others are gonna try and question and figure out which one is the made up one. Phil, so you want to start?
No.
Okay, Grev, you want to start?
Sure, fuck it, why not? I mean, all right. So, basically, I just have I made a
Alright.
short list.
Yes. So what about you name one, and then we can start questioning you just a bit about that. Move on. Next one. Question. Or two.
Okay.
Mhm.
First statement. I'm gonna basically statement. I have mastered 4 languages.
To be honest, that wouldn't surprise me because
I think that's
Hmm.
obvious. We already know that, right?
Wait, no, yeah, because you casted and I swear you did something in Spanish for me.
What?
I know.
I'm not gonna comment. I am not going to comment.
Spanish?
Oh,
Are we talking mastered?
Is he that unhumble? Really?
Define
knows-
mastered.
Define master.
Being able
Fluent.
to speak it fluently,
Okay.
like on a regular basis, whenever I
Alright.
need to.
I know it's Norwegian and Dutch, right? And
Spanish. I swear he's done Spanish.
okay. Any questions about it though?
No, I kind of.
You have to answer truthfully to anything. Maybe not that though.
Hmm.
That doesn't work as a question.
Is it true? Come on.
Grev, next statement, please.
Next statement. This is a bit of a personal one. None of my romantic relationships, have lasted longer than a day.
Oh.
How many have you had that lasted less than a day?
Like
He's counting on one hand right now.
2.
So when were these relationships?
About a year or so ago.
How old are you?
Both?
18.
Both were a
Yeah.
year ago?
One of them was way further back.
Okay.
You know what that means? Anyone in chat, Grev is single and ready to mingle.
He's ready to mingle, boys.
Hey yo, Matt, call me up. Okay.
Okay.
We appreciate that around here, don't we?
I
Okay.
kind of don't believe that though. Yeah, a guy looking like you, I don't believe
Aw.
that.
Oh.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Oh.
All right,
Okay.
third one. Final.
Last one. At one point, I have legally owned 7 house cats.
Your room's empty.
Name. Can you give the names of all of these cats?
Sure. Drommels, Frankie,
Are you reading them off a
Beans,
list?
Clooney, Teppa, Charlie, and Pip.
All right, I believe it.
That's kind of very. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah,
I'm
the
gonna go.
names.
You don't know. I prepared this stuff. I could have made
I
all
know.
these names.
So,
I saw him
actually,
reading
hold
off,
on.
but still.
Yeah.
So actually, I know this for a fact. I know he's got
Yeah.
lots
He's
of
a mad.
cats
He is a mad cat lady. So yeah.
because he like I know this was even back when we used to play like CS together. Like he would just come up with the most ridiculous statements. Like his I don't know, like me just I don't know, just playing CS casually. It's bear in mind this was late, and then he says, "My cats are wet."
It was raining. They jumped on my lap, and it was okay. So not cool.
Mhm.
So I
right.
So
feel like
which
that
one
could
is
be-
wrong?
Do you want to give a
like-
short summary of the ones then? Like just quickly. Say
So
the things.
one is that I have mastered 4 languages. That none of my relationships have lasted longer than a day or 24 hours. You can put it either way. And at one point, I've legally owned 7 cats.
All right, you want to take a vote then? I'm gonna vote for languages because I don't think
I'm gonna
4.
vote for languages as well. I think
I think it's
3.
three.
Nah,
Yes.
I think it's the relationship. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off.
Okay.
I think a handsome guy like him, you know, that Because
Grab-
I've heard him speak other languages.
Not as dashing as you think, because the relationship one is true.
Oh,
I
Oh.
have not mastered 4 languages. I've only
I
mastered
think,
3.
oh, what if you could have just like set 6 cats or something, and then they'll be, sure one. Just
So me and
fuck
Filsey
off.
got a point there, I guess. We're not
Yeah,
counting.
you did.
I don't
Good
think,
job.
But yeah. Filsey,
Fun
you
fact:
wanna, you're
I
ready
used
now?
to stream my 4. Like the reason I had 7 house cats, just to elaborate on that a little bit. One of my cats got pregnant, like within the
Okay.
first year that we had her, and then I
On
basically
stream?
streamed it, and I got a lot of money out of it. So that's
Aw.
very nice.
From who?
People who watched the stream, they donated, and we
No, yeah,
we
but
bought
I
cat
just
toys
mean
with them.
the type of cat, the type of person that watches a cat birth or 4 cat births.
It wasn't a birth; it was like literally like they were like a week old,
Oh,
and they
Aw.
just
never mind.
the mom wasn't really caring for them, so we had to basically have to do it, like do everything.
All right.
Cat needs to do.
Conclusion.
No, not breastfeed. We had a bottle. We had a couple bottles.
Filsey, you wanna take the
Yeah.
thing now?
So, yeah. So, start off with the first one. So I come from a professional esports background. That is,
Look at your room. That says a lot.
Bottle
He does have the
internet.
FPL camera currently going
Yeah.
on.
Exact-
I know for a fact
I
that your
know.
brother did. Your brother was a professional player, I believe, Quake.
yes.
But I don't think that you, before like we met, got to like professional. So
Define professional esports background.
I got paid to play the game.
I think that's true, from what I've heard.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know you. I don't know you well.
And
so
that's yeah. And by paid, I don't mean like, hey guys, come play Raid Shadow Legends, and it's it's not like a sponsorship type thing. I mean, like I was on the
What-
team.
what
I was
rank-
winning titles,
Salary.
and then
What
Yeah.
game was it?
it was Crossfire
Hmm.
North America.
Okay.
Do you wanna
okay.
second?
I can yeah. So second statement. I have had 4. I guess you could call it semi-professional. Mixed martial arts fights. So cage fighting, effectively, to anyone
Yeah, nah,
who's
false.
not stupid, to anyone who's not an animal.
Okay, the reason I immediately jumped on that is because cage fighting is not a martial art, and I don't agree with it entirely. So that's why I'm falsing that
No,
one.
it's mixed martial arts, so it's more or less
MMA.
like,
It's in a cage.
Yeah, it's effectively
in
a cage fighting, but it's yeah. Yeah,
E-
you guys got any questions, or did you want me to just jump to the
I
third
just,
one?
I just
What?
thought of EA Sports. It's in the cage.
No. Did you say how many martial arts? How many
Fights? 4.
How many fights? 4.
hmm
Can you say like what age you were at these fights?
Okay, so my proper first one was I was 16 years old. Yeah,
Okay.
just turned 16. I think it was like literally day after my birthday.
Right. Okay. Last one. If no other questions were.
I got
be
no
had.
questions now.
Okay, last one.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And the last one is I can speak 3 languages.
Wow.
Brilliantly. Yeah. Completely fluently.
I believe the language is one
So
on this
that's
one.
speak, write, and read.
Yeah. I
It's
believe-
definitely not your Swedish.
Damn it! I'm learning it.
Polish,
I'm learning.
English. I mean, you know those. I know for sure.
Probably.
I haven't heard you speak a different language than those 2. So I'm gonna go with languages as well. You might have done the exact same false theory. Only that I've one more.
Yeah, because
I'm saying your languages is false.
mixed martial
Languages.
arts thing was convincing enough for me, so definitely language. Because
I'm just gonna go mixed martial arts. I don't care about the.
wait, I think your volume just dropped like massively.
Yeah, your volume's a bit.
Yes. Yeah. Bring this closer.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, what did you what
I
did you
said
choose?
I'm just gonna go mixed martial
You're still
arts.
very low. I don't know what happened, honestly.
I've turned it down. My girlfriend's in the kitchen.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I do apologize.
It's fine. Maybe not a good time for you to talk about your free ones then. Or yeah, wait. Actually, we haven't even.
Wait, which one is
Exactly,
false?
exactly. Sorry, getting ahead of it myself.
So the languages is false. I can speak 2 languages fluently. Which is Polish and English, and I can speak basic Italian, but I can't do anything else besides that. I don't know a bunch of swear words in Swedish. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we heard.
the
We
martial arts is true, and then the crossfire is true as well.
Right. So hyperactive just sucking. Then he might as well just go for his own.
He can't read people. Unfortunate.
No, I can't. So first one, and I feel Strommers will get these ones quite easy because, to be honest, you're the only person I've really spoken to you about personal life. But let's go. I was a competitive Halo coach.
Ooh.
Competitive Halo.
Oh.
Oh shit.
no.
Fuck.
How long were you a coach for?
Not long. It was a one-time event, but technically I was a coach.
Okay.
What platform? Like Xbox and shit, or
Halo's only on Xbox. I know it's recently.
yeah,
to
but
PC,
which Xbox? Which Xbox?
One. It was
Square.
a
Alright.
event.
Mm-hmm. Second one.
Okay.
All right. Second statement.
Second statement: I am a black belt in judo.
I can believe that one because you got a little bit defensive over that remark towards the martial arts being in the cage fight, and I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit like that in terms of but
Okay.
I can believe that one. You guys have any
Okay.
questions about that one, or
No.
I don't really. I don't even know what to ask honestly, even though I've done judo myself.
A lot of martial arts in this call. I've done taekwondo myself, so I'm not.
sure?
Perfect. Just like
Look at us. We could just throw down right now. If we all met
Or
up,
just-
it'd be a cage match.
catch
Definitely
these hands.
dominate.
All right. Third one, Hyper.
Third one is I am a brand ambassador in photography.
Does-
Ooh.
What does brand
Ooh.
ambassador mean for you?
A company has reached out to me, and I will now take photos for them.
Take photos, as in take just like.
So, clothing company.
Oh, okay.
You are a paid photographer, so sorry.
Paid.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, shit.
I said at the start I was not going to make them easy.
I know he's gonna. I know he has done a couple. I've seen a couple of those photo shoots esque things. So I'm gonna go for judo.
I think it's the first one. It's definitely a Halo one.
I'd say judo as well.
He was a coach in Halo 3, so you're wrong, Philsy.
Yep, I was the coach at the Halo 3
For
Faceit.
Absolved.
Yep, for Absolved. I've recently become a brand ambassador in photography, and I wasn't a black belt. I was a brown.
Perfect
I
score.
knew this.
in-
I knew this would have
Perfect
been
score.
something like
in
that.
judo. I have, though, as a blue belt, beaten somebody who was a second Dan black belt in competition.
I got the full score then. Perfect, just as I planned.
Hey, I'm still
I know
2-0,
everything.
so hey,
I know everything.
I'm 0-2.
All right, let's go.
you're
I'll
a
take the one.
stalker. That's
You
what
all
you
want
were.
mine then, before
Sure.
we round this
Go on.
off as quickly as possible. Right. I once casted South Korean player Autist and had to awkwardly cast around him, trying not to say his name even during a clutch.
I can relate to that.
Okay.
When, roughly how old were you when you did this?
It was like end of last year maybe for a qualifier.
What qualifier was it? that they played?
WSG South Korea. I think it was the only caster in the on like the Wikipedia page. For like there was one game essentially, and that was the game,
Oh,
the South Korea one.
Seems very likely, to be honest.
It could be.
I'm just trying
All right,
to think if there's
next
any
one.
question. Nah, next one, go on.
All right.
Next one.
I stole promotional material for Splatoon 2 from a local electronic. Well, they're not local; they're brand. electronic retail company that was a 40-minute bike ride away.
To be honest,
You stole Platoon 2 or stole promotional
promo-
material for?
Yeah, it sat out in the front, the promotional material after
were you high?
no.
Were you on drugs? Were you
It
intoxicated?
was like midday.
Then I don't believe it. That's the only thing you do when you're high.
Hmm. When was this that when is it you done that?
I mean, I bought it maybe not on release day, but like around then, so probably like not this summer that we had, probably like 2018 summer. Something like that.
What was this promotional material?
It was like it was like a cardboard sort of box thing with just like art on it of like here's the game essentially, and here's what you can play it on. I don't know. I mean, you can only play it on the Switch. So.
Yeah.
The fact you're lacking detail and you're very.
What
hesitant-
detail do you want about it? Do you not want to know about the
That's the
40-minute
thing.
bike
It
ride?
could literally just be a box.
Yeah. It could just be
It's
a
quite tall.
cardboard box.
It's like pretty tall. I think it's been.
I was just
in my
gonna say
room
you're
before.
if
in
it's
my
literally
room.
just a
Stand
box,
up and
you're a
show us.
shit thief.
Stand up and show us.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
gonna
if he
stand up and
shows,
show
Wait,
Yeah.
if he shows
you
us, then
took
we
the
know
box
it's
with a
true.
bike ride? Okay, did you bike on your way back?
I wasn't alone. I had a friend with me, and then like the back of my bike didn't really work for it because maybe they didn't intend to steal things. Like we folded it essentially. It was in the rain. We folded it, and then put it on like his thing, and then like rode home 40 minutes, and then just
Slowly but surely adding more
dried
detail. Mm.
That is interesting.
All
Okay,
right.
next
Last
one.
one. What's he?
I once had a co-caster during a game that 15 rounds in I had to mute and cast on my own.
To be honest, I can believe that.
That's
Ooh.
that's such a strongest thing to do.
Ooh.
When was this?
I got to rewatch a couple of VODs now to make sure I don't get muted within round
That's
15.
such a strongest thing to do.
Yeah.
I think I've muted Dom in the past actually, but not in that way. It's
Yeah.
just that it was going on after the game finished, I guess. I wouldn't do that to anyone but Dom in that case, but yeah, it was like 2019
But Dom.
summer like maybe July, August. I don't exactly know, honestly.
Thank the Lord it wasn't me.
I wasn't around by then.
Could have been.
All right.
Wait, no, summer. I was.
Can definitely be you. Be careful. We've got to rewatch some stuff now.
This is my early career. This is when I started. Damn. Yeah, I
I'm going to
believe
say the
that.
second one is false. You somehow, with your mate, getting a cardboard cutout
Quite a big
for
one.
40 minutes away from you in the rain. I don't buy it.
I think it's the second one, so I'm gonna go with the third one because reverse psychology, and then it's
Hyper?
gonna be the third one.
I'm gonna stick with second one. You just kept adding detail when if you were confident with it, you would add detail at the start. Psychological games.
The lie is the first one. I did not cast the player autist. I did cast a South
Oh yeah, I
Korean.
forgot about
I did cast a W. I should probably like said him again. Sorry.
that. Yeah.
I did cast the
Fine.
WSG South Korea qualifier featuring only one game. The autist who plays for, I forget their name, but yeah, whatever. He plays for a South Korean team that could have been in that qualifier, but weren't, and so I didn't cast him and didn't awkwardly try and go around him even during a clutch. Even though I've had
Thomas.
to do that before.
Exposing
So,
yourself as a thief.
I suppose
Thinking-
I suppose I'm the only. You didn't ask about the company, so I don't have to say which company. It
I mean,
was.
we're saving you legal troubles at this point.
Thank
So,
you.
be
Yeah.
careful.
Tell us now. Tell us everything.
Yeah, and off stream we'll have a chat.
Well, we might have a chat. Yeah. I think that's it. You guys want to say anything else about anything? Life.
Oh, jeez, that got deep real quick.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only thing I want to say is thank you to kind of like, especially you, Stromez, because I did kind of briefly bring it up, but I'm actually closing into
Opera.
my 1 year of shoutcastings.
Time
and
flies.
yeah, and it was actually because of you bringing me in and kind of trusting me and taking me under your wing that I wouldn't be here without you. So
That's just rubbed me
Wholesome.
off, eh?
Wholesome.
Grev, you want to do that too, or should I just end it?
Well,
here now?
want me to rub you off as well?
Don't have to. It was a choice.
I don't have to because I don't want to.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks for this is my second episode of the podcast. Thanks for
Alright.
having me again.
Then I'll say thank you, Hyperactive, for being on. Thank you,
Just
Grev.
you, hyperactive.
Thank you, Grev.
You're the only one.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you, Filsey. I didn't even say
Filsey.
thank you before.
Filsey, go fuck yourself.
So, all right,
I'm
we've
not-
heard
I'm not
about
gonna-
we've heard about Grevling's just wet pussy and everything in between that and just general other things. So,
Oh my god.
with that being said, we'll see you next week, Monday. Hopefully, different guest. We'll see you then. Bye bye.